Jefferies analyst covering Japan biotech companies. In this session, we have Matt Barnes, head of R&D of Nxera, and Hironoshi Nomura, CFO of Nxera. So we're gonna start with presentation. So Matt, I'll hand it over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you to the organisers for giving us this slot. My name is Matt Barnes, so I'm the CSO of Nxera Pharma. So we're just going to give you a few slides, introduction to the company before the Q&A. So Nxera is a commercial stage emerging biopharma company from Japan. It was founded as Sosei with the purpose of bringing best biotech innovations to Japan. And then a key acquisition for the company was in 2015, where Sosei acquired Heptares, a UK-based biotech company with a really interesting next wave GPCR structure-based drug design platform. And then following the acquisition of the Idorsia's business unit in Japan, we rebranded as Nxera Pharma in 2024. We're currently across 5 global locations, and we have around 400 employees. So as a background overview, so we have about $200 million annual revenues. We have, as I said, about 400 employees across 5 locations. We're listed on the stock exchange in Japan. We have a number of products on the market, and we also have a very healthy clinical stage pipeline, so 13 clinical candidates with partners and 3 in-house. And behind that, we have more than 20 discovery programs with, again, in-house and within partnerships. We focus on a number of different therapeutic areas, so neurology, metabolic disease, and immunology, GI. And we've generated, as part of our platform, we've generated more than 100 GPCR structures with that next wave platform that I mentioned. So if we talk about the products and the clinical pipeline, so these are just the highlights really. So I mentioned that we do have marketed products or commercialized products. The first one is called Pivlaz, and that's for the prevention of cerebral vasospasm in patients with ASAH. Secondly, and recently launched in December last year, was Quivavik, which is for treatment of patients with insomnia. And that's a co-marketing deal with our partner Shionogi. In terms of our partnered products, we have a number of muscarinic agonist programs in clinical development with our partner Neurocrine. The latest is has just initiated a phase 3 study, MBI 568, and I will talk a little bit more about that one. But there are a number of other muscarinic agonists behind that as well. Also, we have a partnership with Centessa, so this is on Orexin 2 agonists, which is in phase 2. I will mention briefly this later as well. And also, we have a collaboration with Tempero Bio around an mGlu5 NAM compound for substance use disorder as well. And of course, finally there with Pfizer, we have a collaboration on a number of molecules, actually 3 in clinical development, one of which is a GLP-1 small molecule agonist. So in terms of the commercialized products in Japan, Hiro?
Yeah, thank you, Martin. Thank you, everyone, for your time. So I'm the CFO of the company, Hironoshi Nomura. I'd like to make a brief update about Japan part of commercial business. So as you see on the screen, we have only 2 products in Japan. One is the Pivlaz. This is the emergency used to prevent the vasospasm, basically. And this was launched 3 years ago, and now is year 4. And basically, this product is the only product on this indication. So we are very, satisfied, and we are very happy about this penetration. It's going very well. So after 3 years launch this year, we are targeting around 90 million US to 100 million US as our top line. And we are also happy this product is, as I said, there's no competition, so it's basically very high profitability product, something like 60% or something. So, but the market is already penetrated by 75%. Of course, we are expecting to gain another 10 to 20 for next 3 years or something. But this is very good cash cow product for us now. So this is the first product. So second product is an insomnia drug. This is Qubivic. And different from fast drug. Of course, fast drug, we are selling this by ourselves by using the 70 marketing salespeople. But Qubivic is an insomnia drug, and this is very, how can I say, primary care area, and there's so many hospitals, clinic taking a doctor, and there's a doctor who is taking this drug. To prescribe this drug. So basically we licensed this Qubivic out to Shionogi Pharma. This is one of the major pharmaceutical company in Japan. So the profit structure is different from Pibrat. We are getting the royalty, and now we only enjoying royalty, but in near future from 2027 basically we will also enjoy the sales supply product margin. So royalty is roughly speaking, it's kind of 20%, and we are expecting another 20% as a supply margin. So from 2027 and after, we are enjoying around 35 to 40% margin compared with Shionogi top line sales. This is the second product. So combining these products, this is this year's target. So Piblat is a year 4 product, so we are only expecting 7% officially. Of course, internally we have more aggressive target. And the Qubivic, this is just launched 6 months ago. So this year is a mostly past year for this product, so we are expecting 4 to 5 billion Japanese yen sales. It is around 30 million US. And actually, just one thing I add is Shionogi is, of course, it is a public listed company, so they disclose their fiscal year target. This is a 9.3 billion Japanese yen for their fiscal year. This is actually around 1.5 times to 2 times than our expectations, so we are very happy with that number. Of course, it depends how it depends Shionogi how it goes going, but we are really appreciate their strong commitment on this product. So now I'd like to back to Matt about the R&D part.
Yeah, thank you, Hiro. So as well as those commercial products, as I mentioned previously, we have a host of clinical stage assets in partnership with a number of companies. One of the most notable is this collaboration with Neurocrine, and we just wanted to highlight the most advanced asset, which is NBI 568. So this recently was initiated in a phase 3 trial in schizophrenia. It's an M4 selective agonist discovered by Nxera using its NextWave platform. So we're really, really excited about that program to see where that lands. And then behind that, there's also 3 other further assets in clinical, early clinical development. So there's an M1 agonist, NBI 567, a second M4 agonist, NBI 569, and a dual M1, M4 agonist, NBI 570 for schizophrenia. So there's lots of potential, I think, in this suite of muscarinic assets, dependent on the particular molecule profile that we have here. So just some highlights from the output from the phase 2 trial for NBI 568. So the once a day 20 mg dose met its primary endpoint there with a mean difference placebo-adjusted PANSS score of -7.5. And you can see on the right there the kinetic or the temporal profile of the study week by week. And you can see that there's a really strong, significant placebo-adjusted reduction in the PANSS score for the 20 mg dose. So moving on, one of the things you have to be extremely careful about when you're doing these clinical studies in patients in the neuropsychiatric area is the placebo response. And I think we've been extremely impressed with the way that Neurocrine have managed this process. And some of the competitors in this space, such as CorXT, which is now called Cobenfy, which now lies with BMS, and emraclidine. I think this graph quite nicely shows that really the number of study sites that are utilized in some of these studies does really seem to correlate with the extent of the placebo effect. So I think Neurocrine are very, very conscious and mindful about this as they move into the phase 3 study. And so they'll be trying to mirror what they did in the phase 2 in terms of the clinical trial design and the number of sites that they use. And I also mentioned Cobenfy before, and so this is an approved treatment now. So the mechanism is to some degree validated. It caused a lot of excitement in the schizophrenia space because this was really the first approval for many decades with an alternative mechanism to atypical antipsychotics. And so that I think was great. So mechanistically, these two assets are quite similar. What we would say, though, is with Cobenfy, so that's a non-selective muscarinic agonist, so it has to be co-dosed with a muscarinic antagonist, which is peripherally restricted. And actually, if you look at the adverse event profile that was observed in the emergent trials, you still are seeing some of those adverse events break through when you look at that compared to placebo. But what you'll see with NBI 568, which is a purely selective M4 muscarinic agonist, is that the side effect profile is really, really similar to placebo. So I think we believe that this molecule has a really great safety profile and really encouraging efficacy profile as well. So we're really excited as that moves into phase 3. I also mentioned about Centessa. So Orexin 2 agonists are quite an emerging area, I think, and capturing a lot of attention for the narcolepsy space. Very largely unmet medical need in this particular area, particularly around these three types, NT1, NT2, and IH. So proof of concept has been achieved. There are a few companies in this space, so Takeda, Centessa, and Alkermes. Centessa is the company that we have the collaboration with. The Centessa molecule, ORX 750, was actually discovered using our NextWave platform a few years ago, and we've been really pleased to see the progress that Centessa have made of moving that rapidly into clinical development and really actually catching up somewhat, I think, with the other companies and becoming, positioning themselves in a very competitive space. So it's in phase 2 right now, and so we're hoping to see some data start to read out from these phase 2 studies towards the end of the year. I mean, there really is a significant opportunity in this space, and it's really capturing a lot of attention as we move forward. So I think watch this space with this particular molecule. And also, I just wanted to highlight another asset we have in partnership. So this is with Tempero Bio. Again, an asset. This is an mGlu5 negative allosteric modulator that, again, was discovered using our NextWave platform. And so Tempero Bio are moving this forward in substance use disorder, and they initially have started a phase 2 trial in alcohol use disorder. But of course, there are other substance use disorders that could be captured with this particular asset as it moves forward, so including cocaine, opioid, etc. So earlier this year, Tempero secured $70 million Series B financing round to advance these clinical studies. And we're really hoping that to see some of that initial phase 2 data from the alcohol use disorder study by the end of the year, and really hoping to see some progress on initiating the cocaine use disorder trial as well. And then briefly just to mention Pfizer as well. So, you know, the GLP-1 small agonist space is a very competitive area, with Lilly recently reporting some positive phase 2 data in diabetes trial. Later, we'll see some data, I think, later in the year with orforglipron in obesity as well. But this is really just to remind people that although, you know, Pfizer has discontinued some molecules, small molecules in this space, there is still a molecule, 522, which is still in Pfizer's portfolio, which is listed as chronic weight management. So we're really optimistic, I think, to see what Pfizer does with this molecule going forward. And I can't not talk about our own in-house programs, of course, as well. Not everything we do is in partnership. About 50% is, and 50% is internal. And actually, in the last 2 or 3 years, we've progressed 3 of our own in-house programs into the clinic. And so they are NXE149, which is currently in phase 1B with a target indication of schizophrenia. That actually has an option to license with Boehringer Ingelheim. That's a novel selective GPR52 agonist, which is first in class. We are the only company that has a clinical stage asset against this target. Really excited about that particular program. Then we have NXE732, which is an EP4 receptor antagonist in combination with a checkpoint inhibitor for advanced solid tumors. So we're working very closely with colleagues in Cancer Research UK, which is a non-profit charity in the UK, who are actually sponsoring the study and are very well connected into the clinical trial network in the cancer space. We're hoping to advance this into phase 2 later this year also. And then finally, NXE744, which is currently in phase 1 for IBD. This is an EP4 agonist. So this is actually a GI-targeted molecule, and it's actually based on some very early clinical validation data from Ono Pharmaceuticals from a small IBD study, which was done about 15 years ago. So there's a degree there of validation around this target, but the Ono molecule was systemically available and, of course, saw some hemodynamic effects. And so what we've done is we've built this molecule using our platform to really design to target the GI and avoid those hemodynamic effects. And so we're really excited about that program as it moves forward, hopefully towards phase 2 by the end of this year as well. And I think really I'll maybe just stop there and leave on this pipeline for people's orientation as we move into the Q&A. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt and Nomura-san. Now we move into Q&A session. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. If not, let me ask about questions on orexin agonist first. So, yeah, how do you estimate the probability of success of ORX750 phase 2 trial? And also, what will be the positioning of following pipelines, such as 142 and 489 in the narcolepsy or sleep disorder treatment?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, thanks for the question. So I think this is a really exciting area, actually. So there's a lot of genetics support around the orexin axis from a sleep disorder point of view, right, of course. So a lot of people will already be aware of the orexin antagonists for insomnia, and actually Hero earlier on mentioned one of our products that we have on the market, Quivivik, which is an antagonist for insomnia. This is the kind of the reverse, right? So this is looking at agonists for preventing narcolepsy or excessive daytime sleepiness. So there are effectively 3 companies in this space. So Takeda is the more advanced and has generated some early proof of concept data, which looks really encouraging. Not far behind is the Centessa molecule and the Alkermes molecule as well. This is going to be really interesting to see how these molecules stack up against each other when we start to get to patient studies. And I think one thing to point out with Centessa actually is they're really going after the broad sweep of these indications, right? So they're going after the NT1, NT2, and the IH. So they're really trying to gain a lot of momentum in a very broad sense across these different indications. What's going to be key, I think, about this is not only the molecule profiles in terms of the potency, but I think also the pharmacokinetic profile of these particular molecules is going to be important. You only really want to reduce excessive daytime sleepiness. You don't want to have that in the nighttime, of course, but it's going to be a really, really interesting area.
Got it. Thank you very much. Oh, please go ahead.
About those proprietary products, are you developing them also for the U.S. markets? Do you have much of a presence here? And
Yeah.
where are those studies being conducted?
Great.
What countries?
Yeah, great point. So actually, we should have made that clear. So actually, the commercial products are Japan APAC, and some of these other clinical stage programs are actually in partnership, often with US companies. So generally, just the way to think about it is our business model is we have half our employees in the UK that are doing everything up to phase 2, and we have half of our employees in Japan that do late stage development and sales and marketing. So the business model is very much in the UK, we take things forward to phase 2, we look to partner with, say, a pharma company, US-based company. They'll move it forward from a global point of view, but we'll retain the rights for Japan and APAC and funnel that into our business unit in Japan. That's the business model.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Please go ahead.
Sure.
Do you just mind going through some of the? Do you mind just going through some of the milestones and royalty structures that you have of
Sure.
the major
Yeah, sure.
partner products?
Hiro, do you want to comment about that?
Yeah. So you can see a lot of partners on this slide. So of course it depends on partner in the final moment. But actually, for example, the Neurocrine contract. So we are getting our contract is 1.5 billion as a development milestone and 1.1 billion as a commercial milestone. And the royalties start mid-single digit to go to the mid-teen. So this is one of the basic our contract style. So most of our royalties, for example, its range is mid single digit to the mid-teen. So that is our basic.
Yeah. So I think actually, and that's a good point just to add. So I think from a revenue point of view, so you'll have seen there, we're actually generating, or we're starting to generate revenues from our commercial business in Japan. So I mentioned that figure around 200 million. So as we move forward to 2030, what we want to try to do is build that capability more through in-licensing for Japan and APAC. And so we really wish to try to get 5 products on the market by 2030, which will start to generate, significant revenues that will help us fund the rest of the business. But right now, actually, this part of the business on the left-hand side, we're still generating revenues from upfront payments, from milestone payments, and hopefully in the future from royalty payments. So we've actually got 2 independent royalty streams at the moment. It's just that the commercial side is much more reliable and consistent, and the other side is less reliable, right? So that's why we want to move towards that 5 products by 2030 on the market. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And this is another question. Are you thinking about different modality, like antibody, other than small molecules?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. So most of what you see on the slide here are small molecule based. So traditionally our platform, which is all about using rational structure-based drug design for GPCRs, which are and still remain a really, really attractive drug and validated drug target class. So we've used that in earnest to generate small molecules. It's very much suited to small molecule drug discovery, of course. But of course, we also, we are flexible and we remain open to other modalities as well. We've done some peptide programs previously. We've done some antibody programs previously as well, in collaboration with different companies using different antibody platforms. But late last year, I think, we announced a collaboration with a company called Antiverse, which actually is an AI-driven antibody platform. And why we're excited about that one is because they can utilize the structural biology information that we have on the GPCRs to help them design antibody libraries or nanobody libraries or VHH libraries. And so in many ways that is almost a structure-based drug design approach but with antibodies. And I think that really, really appealed to us, that kind of more AI-driven approach. And so we've started that collaboration with them. It's going very well, and so we're excited to see what antibodies come out of that particular collaboration. And one thing just to say as well is that because of the way our Next Wave platform works, traditionally it's been very, very difficult to identify antibodies to GPCRs generally. But we think that we might be able to generate antibodies that have agonist function as well as antagonist function. And so we're really excited to see whether we can demonstrate that and maybe be a world's first at doing that.
Sounds really interesting. Thank you very much. And could you talk a little bit more about your novel programs? So I believe there are some interesting pipelines such as GPR52 in schizophrenia or EP4 agonists in thyroid cancer. So which pipeline do you think?
Yeah, thank you.
And,
I mean, I love them all. And, you know, I think these are, you know, really in all interesting propositions. What you'll see there as well is that we're very mindful about the targets we select, right, when we start the process right at the front end. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to balance our risk profile in terms of focusing on targets where there may be some clinical validation. So maybe focusing on a more best-in-class approach and using our platform to help us to identify molecules that have a superior profile. And actually the Neurocrine collaboration is a really great example of that, of course. But we're also, you know, we do work also on some novel targets, and GPR52 is a good example of that. So what we're trying to do is spread the risks, right? We're not all about novel targets and, you know, high risk, high reward. We're actually trying to manage and mitigate that sort of risk profile. And those three are a really good example of that sort of risk mitigation. GPR52 specifically, this is for schizophrenia, and I mentioned in my talk that, you know, we are the only company that has a phase 1 asset in this space. We know other companies have had interest in this preclinically, but we're the only people that have managed to progress to the clinic. The reason that this is really exciting program, apart from its novelty, is that based on the mechanistic hypothesis, we think that GPR52 agonists might have efficacy across positive, negative, and cognitive domains, and in particular, negative and cognitive there's very high unmet need there, and it's just really around the unique mechanism of the way that GPR52 works. We've generated a really strong preclinical data package. The compound, as far as we can tell in the early clinical studies, is behaving extremely well. We've got a really nice pharmacokinetic profile consistent with a once-a-day profile. And we're now moving into a really interesting phase for the program, which is a proof of mechanism clinical study. If that's successful, we're hoping that that might then be enough for Boehringer Ingelheim to exercise their option to license. And you'll start to see that story kind of emerging towards the end of this year, moving into next year. But I think it's a really, really exciting area. Boehringer Ingelheim would then take the responsibility to move into phase 2 in schizophrenia. And then we'd also have those downstream milestones and royalties that Hiro mentioned before.
Thank you very much. We have 1 minute, so any last questions? Please go ahead.
What gives you hope that Pfizer will move forward with GLP-1?
Thanks for the question. It's still such an attractive area, right? So GLP-1s, so getting a small molecule position, I think orforglipron, I think Lilly have done an amazing job to get to phase 3. I think Pfizer clearly have had their problems there with the molecules that they move forward with. If anyone's going to make progress, it'll be Pfizer though, all right? So according to clinicaltrials.gov, so what's publicly known, So the phase 1 MAD study in patients with diabetes with an option for obesity should have read out by now. And so we're actually as eager as everybody else to find out what the data of that is, but we'll have to wait for Pfizer to release that data. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We are running out of time, so this concludes this session. Thank you very much for joining.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.